Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this month's Connect with Control-M Automation API. My name is Ruben Villa, and I support Control-M products for distributed systems in America. On this session, we will see how to work Control-M with code as a developer. I would like to introduce today's panelists, Cody Belcher and Neil Blanford, support. If you have any questions at any time of this presentation, please feel free to enter them in the Q&A panel. We will cover them at the end of this session. Finally, you can save this presentation by going to File and Save. Now, let's take a look to the agenda. Today, we are going to see an introduction to Automation API or AAPI, installation and requirements. We will see the job definition as code. We will continue with a demonstration, and we will finish with a Q&A session. This is introduction to AAPI, Automation API. With Automation API, you expose the Enterprise Manager server as an endpoint. So this means that the Automation API can receive requests or HTTP requests from another applications, another servers, another components, another third-party applications. And you can send job definitions and job submissions and configurations to the Enterprise Manager server, and you can work with the jobs without having the interface or the GUI client installed. As well, we provide a CLI interface where you can work with the commands available for Automation API on your PC. So this means that you can send all the submissions and everything in a JSON file with everything defined as code as a developer. No, you don't need more the interface or the GUI client with Automation API. Everything is in code as a developer. Installations and requirements. Well, the requirements that you need for start using Automation API is just to have the Enterprise Manager version 9 with Fixpack 2 or higher. For the developer kit and the CLI interface, you will need the Node.js and the NPM, right? As you remember from the last slides, you can send HTTP REST requests to the AAPI endpoint. So this means that you don't need anything else, just to have the right code to send the information to the Enterprise Manager or to the AAPI server. Now, if you want to use the developer kit and the CLI option, you just have to download the developer kit from your Enterprise Manager server. So this means that you don't need to download any extra things from the EPD side. And also, you don't need any extra licensing to use Automation API. Everything is set and ready to start working with Automation API since Enterprise Manager version 9 with Fixpack 2. That's everything you need. Now, the job definition as code. With Automation API, as you can see, you don't need the interface, the GUI client. You will see everything in code as a developer. As you can see here on this example, you will see that the job is defined with some lines of code with the type applications, who application, command, and the run as. These are the values that you will see in a job definition or your GUI interface. But now you are working Control-M with code. As you can see here, you have some available type of jobs right now, and we are going to add more of these type of jobs in the future. Right now, you have command script, database, AFT, MFT, Hadoop, and some more that we don't put here. But as you can see here on this example, right, you have a job definition, a regular command job definition, and a database job as well. As you can see, you can work with all these type of jobs right now with Automation API. Right now, we are going to introduce in the demo. For the demonstration, I have an environment prepared with the CLI interface already installed. Remember, you don't have to download anything else. You just have to install the Fixpack 2 on your Enterprise Manager version 9, and you have all the information that you need to start to work with Automation API. Now, for Automation API, you can send the request to multiple environments with the CLI interface. Right now, if I execute the command ctm, you will see that the helpful information is displayed. And as well, you can see that I am working in a regular command prompt from a Windows machine, right? I don't have to be in any specific path at this moment, but I'm just working with the CLI interface as any other Windows command, okay? Now, with the helpful information, we can see that we have multiple commands or services, as we call it. For example, the build command, the deploy, package, provision, and environment. With all these commands, you can build your JSON files and compile everything to see if your information is okay. You can install Control M components as well with the Automation API. You can install agents with the fixpack and all the CMs and modules that you want to have on that agent. You can define multiple environments as well. For example, if you want to send one request to your production environment and you want to send another request to your dev environment for testing, you can do it with Automation API. Everything in code, everything in the command line. You don't have to open any other interface to start working with this. Now, just to make sure that we are going to work in the right environment, I'm going to execute ctm env show, and this will show me all the environments that I have defined here on my PC, right? Remember that the Automation API CLI interface is installed on your PC, on your laptop. As you can see here, the output from this command will show me the environments that I have defined for this demonstration. As you can see here, I have a dev environment, and this is the endpoint, the Automation API server, if we want to say it, right? And this is where all the requests are going to go, right? And as well, you need a user, right? A default login user. And this user is the one that you are going to use to send the request, okay? You also have the password, but the password is not showing on this command because it's a password. You don't want to show the password, right? And as you can see here, we have a secondary machine. If we want, we can send these requests or all the requests to this secondary machine, right? If you pay attention to the first line of information, you can see that the current environment is dev environment, okay? So on this demonstration, everything, all the commands that we are going to send are going to the dev environment, okay? So this is a very important command that you need to have in mind if you want to be sure to where are you sending all these requests. Now, this is the CTM environment command, and you want to work with your jobs right now, right? So you need to define the jobs in code in a JSON file. So now let's see how a JSON file looks for a job definition. At the top of this file, you will see that this is a JSON file, a regular JSON file, right? And it has some structure, and it has some code lines, and it has some syntax as any other JSON format, okay? On this section, I have a default section, right? That you can see that I have an application parameter, sub-application, run as, and host. Now, with the default section, we are telling to the JSON file that all the jobs inside of this JSON are going to have these defaults for all the jobs and folders, okay? So now if I define a job below here, I don't have to define the host again or the run as again because I already have it in the default section, right? So now you can see that I have another default inside the default, right, for the job. As you can see here, this is an action if failure. If you read this as a developer, you will understand that this is going to perform one action if the job fails, right? If you read this as an operator or control M administrator in a job definition, these are the undo actions, right? On a specific completion status, do the next, right? Here, we are developers, and we are going to understand this as any programming language, right? As you can see here, action is failure, type if, completion status, not okay, right? Then mail to team. So this is easy to read for a developer and to us, right? Just if completion status not okay, do this. And this is all the default for all the jobs inside, because remember, we are in the default section. Now, let's see how we define a folder and jobs in JSON and with Automation API. The first thing that you will see here is that this is a folder, and the name of the folder is payroll. Okay? The next one is a job. This is the name of the job. We have the type of the job that we can see here is a job of the type command. We also have a little description of what this job is going to do, right? Has the description field in a job definition. And we have the command, okay? This is a regular Windows command to create a directory. If we move along, we will see that we have a second job that is called move file, and it's also a command job, and it's going to do something, or it's going to execute one command. The third one is a payroll pre-job, and this is a script job, and this one have a path because this is a script that you want to execute in Control M, and you have the name of the path. And the last one is another script job, and as well it has a file path and file name that is the path and the script name, right? And you have another extra parameter here that you can use in any of the other jobs, right? But I'm showing this example. They keep active, right? If you're familiar with Control M, you will see that this is the parameter that will keep the jobs in the active environment, right? You can set this to a number, 1, 2 for the days, or right here we have the option forever, okay? As well, we have the schedule for this job, right? All the jobs have the default configuration, right? So they are going to run on daily basis, but this one has a specific scheduling, have a specific when it's going to run. As you can see here, we have the months defined, the weekdays, the Mondays, and we have a from time and to time. Remember that this is the submission window for a job. Everything that we are doing here is in code, in JSON, with Automation API, right? As well, for a developer, there is the need to execute one job and then the next one and then the next one with a specific sequence, with a specific flow, right? With Automation API, you can do this with the definition flow. As you can see here, this is the name of the flow like that, and it has a sequence. Create directory, that this is the name of the job that I want to execute first, and then the next one, move file. So this means that this job, create directory, is going to execute first, and then this is going to be the next one. If we pay attention to the next flow, that is called flow 2, you will see that you have almost the same definition, but instead of the first job, you have the move file, and then the third job, and the next one is the last flow. So now this is a definition in a JSON, right? So you have all your jobs defined here, and you are ready to execute them, but you want to be sure that your code is right, okay? Because at the end, this is a text file, a JSON file, right? And you want to convert this job to a Control M job, right? To execute all and everything that you have here. If I go back to the command prompt window, let me clear this window, you will see that if I execute CTM, you will get the helpful information, right? And the first command that we are going to use here is the build command, right? This will compile your definitions to verify that they are valid for Control M. So this will take the information that you have inside the JSON, it's going to build that JSON into a Control M information, and it will tell you if everything is okay. So let's do it. CTN build, and then the name of your JSON file. This will send a request to the Automation API server, and this will return with the output about what is okay or wrong with your JSON file. If we pay attention here, this is the deployment file that we are using. this is telling me that we have one folder in the definition, and we have 4 jobs defined, right? And this was very easy, right? But what happens when you have a bad syntax on your definition, right? So as any other programming language, the build command is going to tell you what is wrong on your on your JSON file. What is the bad syntax if you forget to close a double quote, if you forget to put a comma at the end, right? Columns, semicolons, everything. So right now, let's say that we made a mistake on the December name, right? And we use n, right? We save the file like that. We are going to execute the same command again just to see what we got for the response. We know that the code is bad, right? But let's see how do you see a bad response from the automation API regarding your syntax. So as you can see here, you have the errors part, right? You will have the message that it says bad month string n. This is the file that you are using. You have also the line and the column. So let's fix it. We already know what is the problem, what is the solution, right? December, I do save, and I'm going to compile everything again. I'm going to build everything, right? Just to make sure that everything is okay. And yeah, it is. Now that you have everything prepared, you want to run your jobs. You want to execute everything that you have in that JSON file. So let's do the CTM again to get the helpful information for the CLI. You will see that we have a run command. You will see that this is for run and track control M jobs, right? This is run and track because as soon as you execute the jobs, you want to know the status. Or maybe you want to do a rerun over one job. Or maybe you want to hold a job. Maybe you want to set a job to OK, right? So let's execute CTM run and the JSON file. This as well is going to send the request to the automation API server, and it's going to come back with an order or run ID of the full flow of the JSON file, as you can see here, right? If you copy this order ID and you execute CTM run and then status, right? This is to get the status of the full job, of the full flow, okay? So this is going to respond with all the status inside that command, the run command that we execute before. And you can see here that it has all the information of the jobs, right? You have also the folder information. And if you pay attention here, you see that we have the first job that we execute. As you can see, is the folder payroll. And this is the type of the job that we defined it. And we can see the status. The job ended not okay, right? Why the job ended not okay? Well, with Automation API, you can also see the output of the jobs, right? If you don't know how to execute a command, remember you just have to execute CTM run, for example. If you don't know the next command or what you are going to use, for example, to see the output, you execute this, do enter, and you will see all the helpful information for Automation API. So now let's look how to see the output of a job, right? So if we see here, we have the order, we have the set to OK, the run now, rerun, and we have run job output. Get the output returned from a job. So let's do that. But for this, as you can see here, you need these extra parameters, the job ID and the run number. As this job has run only one time, we don't have the run number, right? Because we have only one. So we just need the job ID. So if I go to this, let me paste to this. I have to execute CTM, get, and now I have to put the ID of the job that I want to see the output. So if I copy this job ID, right, and I paste it here, let's see what we got. Okay, so as you can see here, this is retrieving the output of this job. As you can see, this is a regular error from Windows that the directory already exists. So that's why the job ended not okay. So now I want to set the job to okay to continue with the flow. So I can see the helpful information, but if I know how to do it. I will just execute ctm run job set to okay, right? And just have to paste the job. So let's confirm that the command is correct, right? Remember, you have all this helpful information you have here, right? Just by running the command without any extra parameters. And as you can see here, and status to okay. So for more that you use the automation API, you will have all these commands already learned, right? So let's see it. ctm run job set to okay. So this will set the job to okay, right? You see this message. So now let's see the status of the full flow again. So if I execute this again, this will go to the automation API server, to the enterprise manager server, and see the real status of the job. Because, as you know, when the job ended okay, the flow will continue. As you can see here, the create directory, the status is now set to okay, right? Ended okay. The next one also ended not okay, right? So let's set this to okay as well, because we already know how to do it. So if I go back to the right command here, I just have to paste the other ID. Okay, so this will send the request again. The job will end it okay now. Let's see the status of the full job flow, right? So now let's see. Let's check it again from the beginning, right? The folder is in executing state because remember it's a smart folder. Create directory ended okay because we set it, we force it to be okay. The second one we also force it to be okay. The next one already ran and ended okay. Cool, with no problems. Now the next one is on wait condition, because if you remember the definition that we have in the flow, this job also have a when section. So if you can see here, maybe it's because the time is not already the 1 p.m. Central Time here on this presentation. Maybe this is why the job is on wait condition, wait schedule, right? We also have a bypass for automation API. So let's see how we execute bypass, right? Remember, you just execute ctm, the next service, the next command, do enter, and you will receive all the information, all the helpful information. So right now we are looking for the bypass option, the run now option. Let's see it. Oh, I can see it here, right? Start a job immediately, right? So let's paste it as well. You need the ID, right? ctm. I paste this. Now let's go for that order ID here. We just copy and paste right here. Okay. Remember, this is as a developer, right? So we need to pay attention on these details about closing, opening, and the spaces and the commands and the syntax of the commands. So I do enter. And this will set or unset all the prerequisites. Okay, so now we are receiving run now option is rejected, job payroll is in executing. Okay, so as you can see here, this is a bad message or a bad execution of the run now. Why? Because I paste the ID of the folder and not the job, right? So this is just a little mistake for the demonstration, right? So now let's be sure, right? As you can see here, what I did, that I pasted the folder ID instead of the job ID. Just a little mistake, but as you know, a job or folder that isn't executing instead, you cannot do a bypass because it's already running. So let's do it again. ctm run now for the job ID that I already have, that is the good one. So I'm going to execute it, and you can see that the bypass worked, right? As any other command that you will use in your regular daily basis for the GUI interface, you can do it with Automation API. So now let's see the full flow of the job execution, right? Now everything should be okay. And yes, you can see here that all the jobs have the ended okay, ended okay, ended okay message status, right? And everything is okay with Automation API doing all these commands. So now, just a reminder, you can do all the things that you do on your GUI interface. You can do a rerun, you can kill a job, you can hold, you can free, you can order a jobs that you already have defined in the database, right? You can install agents, you can install components on the agents. You can get the definition of the jobs that you already have in the database to use on your own code, okay? So everything, you can do it here with Automation API. The things that you do as an operator or administrator, okay? You can add conditions, prerequisites, everything. So now let's see how this looks for an operator remember, with Automation API, we are developers, right? We are working everything as in code. So now let's see the view for an operator or with the regular view from the GUI interface. So now you can see here that all the jobs that we created in the JSON file are here. All the information that we create in the JSON, in the TXT file, right, is here. Everything is here, and you will see this with all the code that you are executing in the command prompt window. So this is the end of the demonstration. We are going to continue with the PowerPoint presentation, right? We have some useful information, as you can see here. We have frequent questions that you can consult in the next article. You can access the Control M Automation API documentation in the command line from the CLI interface just by executing this command, right? CTM documentation getting started. And also, if you are using the REST API requests, right? If you're not using the CLI interface, you can execute this command to see how to send the request to the Automation API. Thank you very much for taking time out of your day to attend. I hope the information provided was useful